Back with us now on the Sunrise Morning Show is Richard Ghazal, Executive Director of In Defense of Christians. Rich, welcome back.
Good morning, Annie.
So today, Rich, we're going to be talking about the Semele Massacre, which happened in 1933. I'm sure that many, like me, have never heard of that massacre before, so tell us about it.
Exactly, Annie. Not too many have heard of it, but it was quite a tragic day in Christian history in the Middle East. On August 7th of 1933, the Kingdom of Iraq, as it was then known, carried out a massacre of over 3,000 Syriac Christians, most of whom belonged to the Assyrian Church of the East and the Chaldean Catholic Church. This event is known to be among the largest casualty counts in a single day of Christians, at least in modern recorded history, with over 3,000 men, women, children, and elderly slaughtered all within a single day. On top of the human toll, of course, thousands of ancient Christian books and manuscripts, some dating back even to the 2nd century, were burned and lost forever. And we're talking here about records of St. Thomas, St. Thaddeus, and other fathers of the church. So, of course, that was a tremendous loss as well.
Wow.
Now, as a result of the event on August 7th of every year, which was this past Saturday, actually, Syriac Christians from around the world, and that includes Catholics, Orthodox, as well as the Assyrian Church of the East, solemnly commemorate this day and their brethren who became martyrs in the name of Jesus Christ.
Rich, why did it happen where it did? Can you give us some historical context here?
Absolutely. In fact, it is the historical context that makes it so tragic. First off, I'll say any loss of human life is tragic,
Sure.
but specifically the story arc that kind of encompasses the situation makes it even more so. So the victims of the Semele massacre were actually survivors of the Ottoman Turkish genocide against Christians about a decade, just about 10 years before that, which started in 1915 but didn't end until 1924. So after being expelled from their hometowns and villages in the former Ottoman Empire, these genocide survivors settled in northern Iraq, which at the time was still under British rule. It was still a colony of Britain. But the British mandate, of course, came to an end around 1932, so the Christians that were in that location in northern Iraq were no longer protected. So in 1933, they were massacred by the newly founded Kingdom of Iraq. So that's 2 genocides within 1 decade. But
Wow.
Sadly, Annie, that's not even where it ends, in fact. Following the Semele massacre in northern Iraq, the survivors were once again uprooted, and they were resettled in northeast Syria, where the French at the time were still in control. So they had some protection where they were. Now, fast forward to 2014, those same survivors of the Semele massacre, now along with their grandchildren and great-grandchildren, were now subjected to the ISIS genocide in Syria from 2014 to 2016.
Wow.
So as you can see, the Christian community was bounced around from Turkey to Iraq to Syria and subjected to genocide in each of those locations. So that's 3 genocides in less than a century. So as you can see, the last century has been a series of tragic events for the Syriac Christians in Turkey, Iraq, and Syria.
I was going to say, when I started looking into this story of the Semele massacre, that it sounded eerily familiar because of what happened to Christians in Iraq and in Syria at the hands of ISIS as they were pushing through and murdering Christians and trying to destroy any semblance of proof of a Christian heritage in that area. I mean, the killing, really trying to wipe Christians out of the Middle East completely.
That's absolutely correct, Annie. And the sad part about this is, as tragic as these stories are not unique to the Christians of Syria, Iraq, or Turkey, of course. The same things are happening to Copts in Egypt and many others, other Christian communities in other locales. The one thing that can, I guess, be gleaned from these situations is the fact that throughout history, throughout the centuries, these smaller Christian communities have always been at the mercy of whatever ruling power was in control at the moment. Their whims, their political sensitivities, and always the sword of persecution fell on the Christians because they were the ones being bounced around. They've never had a chance in 2,000 years to chart their own historical course and their own destiny. There's always been at somebody else's mercy.
Rich, I mean, obviously, lessons have not been learned well enough in the past 100 or so years, because we see this happening again and again and again, even up into recent times, into very recent memory in the Middle East. I mean, how do we learn from this? What can be done to prevent this from ever happening again?
Well, there are a few things that we can do here in the West, of course. So, not being on the ground there, what we can do is remain engaged as Christians, as those concerned for our brothers and sisters who are less fortunate. We're blessed to live in the greatest country in the world, and I'd argue in the history of the world, a mechanism, a political mechanism that is responsive to our calls, to our urges, and our pressure. So, as In Defense of Christians, as you well know, Annie, we have a number of action alerts on our website where your listeners and other interested folks can get online, scroll through, and see the different areas we work in terms of policy, whether it be Coptic Christians, Maronite Christians, and so on and so forth. They can reach out to their member of Congress and urge action by visiting our website, the Take Action page, and with a click of a button, they can make their voice be heard.
And we have In Defense of Christians linked at sunrisemorningshow.com. We've been talking to Richard Ghazal, the executive director of In Defense of Christians. Rich, really appreciate you coming on and telling us about this, and hope folks will go over and check out that Take Action part of your website. Thank you so much.
Great to talk with you, Annie. Have a great day.
It was great to have you. Thank you.